Hi, my name is Katrina Peluso. My husband has been discussing with his friends from his fishing site which is the best sauce to use, homemade or jarred. And we all know homemade is always best, but if you're in a pinch, I would recommend Classico. And you know why this is a good sauce? Number one, it tastes delicious, and you can always add your own stuff to it, but you don't have to. See how it has a rich color to it? Now, I know some people like ragu, and it's much better than it has been in years gone by. That was kind of like ketchup in a jar. But when a sauce looks rich and brown, that means it was cooked long enough and that the seasonings were marinated in it, so it's really good that way. So I would use Classico in a pinch. But I'm going to show you how I make my homemade sauce, because my husband wouldn't have it any other way. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take some chopped onions. We're going to put a little bit in olive oil. Okay, there. And we're also going to take chopped garlic. Now I'm going to do this video for people, for regular people. If you're a paisano, and you want to use all the expensive ingredients and you know what to do, you'll do that. But this is for people that want to learn how to make sauce. So first you chop your pieces of garlic. I actually like, did you ever have garlic chips? It's absolutely delicious. You make them like little potato chips, and then you fry them. They get all crunchy and stuff. So you take the ends and you put that away. But if you want to, I'm going to put a couple of these in there because I like that. I like to dig it out of the sauce. But if you wanted to, like this has the skin on it and you want to peel it, you crunch it a little bit if you don't have a garlic peeler. And then it can get sticky if you use a whole clove. Your fingers start getting sticky. So we're going to just do that. Shut that off. Okay, so we have our garlic chopped, but I did make a boo-boo. See, usually I would cook the onions first because they take a little longer and I don't want to over brown the garlic, but I wasn't thinking and I put it all together. So now we're going to put this on the stove and let this brown while I'm mixing up the gravy. Alright, let me tell you this debate between Americanos and Italians about sauce or gravy. Okay, I understand that gravy is usually the juices of meat stock, and you mix it with a little flour and you have gravy for your meat dish. The reason Italians call it gravy instead of sauce, this is tomato sauce. Yes, that's understandable by us. But we put so much meat in our tomato sauce that it becomes gravy because all the meat stocks run into the sauce. We just don't have to add flour because tomatoes make the gravy thick. So we don't have to add any flour to it. So I'm just going to use like Progresso tomato puree. Put that in there. And I like to add chopped tomatoes. Pompi was on sale, so that's what I'm using. You want to get some kind of thick chunks in there. Okay? I'm going to mix this up. Now I'm going to tell you my secret ingredient, which I did myself and I didn't learn from anybody else, was that if you want to have a really good sauce, now it has to at least simmer 2 hours. The best 4 hours. And as the day goes on and the next day's sauce is always terrific, that's because the meat in the sauce marinates more and more and more, and you have your gravy. Okay, so what I would do if you were in a pinch and you really wanted that good sauce, instead of adding water to my sauce, I add beef broth. Okay, I add like half a cup. Sometimes the sauce starts out too thick. This is too thick to simmer for 4 hours. This will boil down and it will burn on the bottom of the pot. And if you've ever made that mistake, it stinks. You go through all this work and now you have a burnt sauce taste, and you try not to scrape the bottom of the pot and try to salvage whatever you can. So even though it's liquidy or loose, as it simmers, it's going to get thicker and thicker. And you could always keep adding beef broth, and that will also make it add a little salt to it. Okay, so now I got to turn that down. Okay, so the onions and garlic are, so now I do everything by eye and by hand. So your hands may be bigger than mine if you're a man, but I kind of like, so I guess you would say, not quite a tablespoon of salt. We want to add our oregano. You want to add all your dry ingredients on top before you add your meats because it makes it easier. This is parsley. I don't like a really strong oregano sauce, but some people do. But I'll just add like a little pinch of it because it's really a strong flavor. You want like a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And I do everything by eye. See? An instinct. And I seem to do all right. So I got my salt, my beef broth, my onions and garlic are cooking over there, browning, and you mix it up really good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get this really mixed up. I'm going to take at least a 1/2 cup, if not 3/4 of this sauce for my meatballs. Because when you put sauce in your meatball mix, or gravy, it's not gravy yet. See, it's sauce. Because it hasn't had the juice meats in it. I like the gravy to get into the meat and marinate it from the inside out as it's cooking. And it makes a delicious meatball. So I'm just going to get a scoop of that for my meatballs. And I'm going to start to stew this. Okay, here we have, this is a silicone spoon. Okay, so it's not going to burn. But see, like the brown edges on that? Nice. You want to get the sweet flavor. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Some people add sugar to their sauce to cut the acid in it. You could add like maybe a full teaspoon of basil. That will also make the sauce sweet without adding the calories to it. So I'm going to put some basil in that, and I'm going to dump, I'm going to scoop this out with a spoon, with a slotted spoon. And I'm going to also add, so you don't want to have all that oil in your sauce. So just a little bit. Olive oil is always good for you. Good for your skin, your hair. It does add calories though, but it's good. This is basil. If you smell it, it's sweet. So instead of adding the sugar to cut the acid in the sauce, about that much. Okay. Now, let me just explain to you about the gravy and sauce thing. When you go to an Italian restaurant, I don't like a pizzeria sauce. Why? Because it's too red. The reason it's too red is because they don't cook meat in it. And because they don't cook it long enough, because they have to mass produce it. So it's always a little bitter and acidic. But when you cook meat in your sauce, that's why they have the marinara. You know, the juices of the meat go into the sauce, and you can tell when you're in a pizzeria. All right, so we're going to let that simmer and let that cook. And now I'm going to do another video on how I make meatballs with raisins. Okay, thank you.